Hamatakwepe, Mimalakota. Imagianta hão a 15 tios pai, que lê resapa quem. Lilo wakan. Mitaki e ate tashunka witko tios pai. Mitaki e ina wambli zuya tios pai. This is a traditional greeting of my people that I am bound to give, albeit it's a short version. What I said in my own language translate into English thusly. Hello, my relatives. I am Noblala Lakota, and I come from our very sacred holy land, the Black Hills, where Yellow Thunder Village is. My mother is from the War Eagle clan, and my father's family is from the Crazy Horse clan. This greeting is to this day the way all Indians throughout the nation still greet one another, those that still know their culture. This is the only way we present ourselves to one another that is acceptable. We tell you who we are, where we are from, who we are from, our clans, and we do this without ever saying our name. Anything less would be an insult to you and to my people.
I start with an official greeting, as I was taught by Joe, and then go into who I am, because it helps me ground it into that. Hamatakwa yapi, maki yapi, oke yape we, chante washte nape, chizi yape do. Hello, my relatives. My name is Helping Woman. I come with a good heart, a handshake and a good heart. I am a descendant of the Ireland family. And I go back 4 generations on this land. It's the traditional Dakota homeland here in Mankato, Mikado. And I've been on a journey learning about reconciliation and what my role and responsibility is in that work, coming from the lineage I come from and the story of this place and this land. And I'm somebody who's of service. My traditional name that was given to me a couple summers ago is Helping Woman, and for me it's pretty fitting. Because a lot of the work I do is to be of service to the community and to be of service in creating bridges and understanding that helps people find their way into this work.
Why did you start in the first
place? My first memory of this was I was sitting at my grandmother's table and my feet couldn't touch the floor. That's how little I was. And there was this scrapbook of all of our family's newspaper articles, stories, clippings, all the stuff. And I remember I was looking through it and paging through it, and I came across a story that had something to do with the Dakota people here. And I had said, what is this about? And at that point in time, the book got closed and taken away, and I never saw it again.
Well, I keep going back to that one question you asked me about what would life have been like, you know?
Sorry, what?
My mind keeps going back to the question when you asked me what would life been like if Europeans had not showed up, and even though I think it would have been inevitable that this land would have been shared with others, I can't help but thinking that maybe society would have developed in a different way, and it would have been much more of a native led society where there would have been different values. It would have been much more communal based, sharing of resources probably would have been, different than it is now. I don't know if it would have relied so heavily on commerce and the whole money concept of money. Maybe it would have come around. I'm not sure. It's hard to speculate, but I think that most people in the world have a different image or idea of what American Indian people were before contact. That there's this idea that as Indian people we just kind of existed in small bands, and we had occupied this one little area here. We didn't go too far this way or that way, and we kind of stayed away from each other. And if we ever did, we warred. It's, again, I think, a fictional Hollywood version of how we existed.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like, I've been really excited about this because, like, this was not our land, this was their land, and to learn the stories behind it. And we have, my family has property along the trail, and a lot of farmland right along the Judson River Valley and the fort. There was a fort that was built on our property, and a few years ago, in the spring you pick rocks, and they found a rock that had grooves in it, and so we had that at our house for a number of years, and it's like, this belongs to the Native Americans, we have to give this back. Yeah. And so I gave it to Megan, and so now she has it, and she goes, we still use a rock like that to clean the hides of the buffalo and the deer, and so it's like it's back in the hands where it belongs. So it's like walking on this land, learning about the stories. It's not like this is in some other country. This is right here in our yard. To learn those stories and to understand it, learning starts with us. Yeah.
How the healing journey is forming for you?
Well, it's kind of a double-sided thing too. Actually, it's something about both. Trying to get, I guess, history straight, I guess, in a way, and then actually tell about both sides, and then actually. Kind of, I guess, rewrite some of it, and then re-educate some people that, there was Dakota before the 38th. There was a culture and language and lifestyle and everything that people, that I guess forgot, And then, even the way Dakota were, they actually, it wasn't all bad, The Dakota helped the Washichus to learn things or learn how to plant, and, there was different things also that, they learned how to teach them how to survive and teach them different things, so. Actually, Dakota means allies or friendly ones too, that. So, it wasn't all bad.
Did the history impact on you in some way? I mean, of course, it impacts everybody, all of us, but like any family member or personally or...
Oh, yeah.
How?
Oh, definitely. So, the history, I know that my grandfather who was born in 1896. He spoke fluent Ojibwe. And when he had my father, who was born in 1928, my grandfather chose to speak to him only in English. He chose to not pass along our language with the thought and understanding that my father would need to know the English language if he was going to survive in this world. My father was not then able to pass along that language to me, so I, to this day, don't speak my language fluently.
How do you think we can find that common ground?
I think it requires deep listening, deep compassion, and deep curiosity. There's highly likely going to be people that watch this that absolutely hate everything they're saying right now, who may come from an Indigenous community and culture and context. And I get it. I don't think, and when I say that carefully. Like, it's not like I really get it, right? I get you have every right to hate who I am and what I'm saying because of the harm that has been perpetuated. And the truth of the reality of, I have the privilege of being wrapped in this skin. I have the power based on this racial identity of being white that gives me access and opportunities that just are here because that's the way the system and society that I'm in is designed. And I think for me, it's a commitment to continuously be learning and a commitment to continuously listen to the things that I don't know. I can say I get it, but I really don't. I really, really don't know what it feels like. And I think that for me is part of this long-term journey. Like, you're getting me on this day and time at this point in my life of where I'm at on the journey, and you're getting the responses from me in this context of present day moment. You come back and interview me 40 years from now, we'll see where we're at. I think if we don't have grace for what we know and what we don't know, and if we don't create space for deep, authentic listening and really learning and unlearning, then we're at risk of perpetuating these patterns that have led us to the point where we're at as a society on this planet at this time.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you think that storytelling and bringing history is also healing?
I do. I think so. I think if that's the intention, I think sometimes we can tell the story of what happened in the past, but we can do so in a way that is manipulative and makes people feel beaten down. And I think sometimes that is the version of history that gets told around Native American things. And Native Americans don't necessarily know their history any better than non-Indian people. And so doing storytelling and telling the history in such a way that it is healing and empowering and tells a larger story, Things aren't always black and white in history. Sometimes it's more complex, especially for the individuals. It can be a much more complex experience. And I also think knowing our history helps us understand where we are today. My family, the Norwegian side that was attacked and also taken captive during the U.S.-Dakota conflict, always was wondering about Native people. Ever since then, the last 150 years, they read books, they talked to people, they did things to try to understand their history, but not everyone is like that. Some people have no idea how they got to where they are in the world today. And so I think telling history can help us understand ourselves better and our world that we live in better.
Thank you.
When the people in your life get excited about something and start to share about it and invite you into that process too, sometimes you say, well, okay, let's take a step and see where this leads. And for me, it led to being on this bus today. So I'm just going to give an encouragement to you that if this is something that for you is a journey-changing event in your life, to talk about it with the people that you know. Because you might be inviting them into something that they had considered before, but could be a new path for them too. So that is why I am on the bus today.